A very good afternoon to all. Welcome to Qimpro's 9th webinar. I'm Maya Desai and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to part 2 of Mr. Suresh Lulla's webinar, Turbocharging for Performance Excellence. Mr. Lulla has over 50 years of experience as a management consultant, speaker, trainer, coach, author, and storyteller. He founded Qimpro, the first quality consultancy in the country, in 1987. Several of you may not know this, but in 1994, Mr. Lulla was appointed chairman of the IMC Quality Awards Committee and played a critical role in instituting the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Awards for Performance Excellence. As director of the IMC's Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust, I am delighted to be hosting this webinar for my mentor, Mr. Suresh Lulla. What is unique about Mr. Lulla's webinars is that the topic is demystified using a story. Mr. Lulla has been penning down his experience with clients since 1972 in the form of short stories, which he refers to as quality fables. I consider it as a simplification of concepts. It has truly helped us. So far, he has published 75 quality fables in 3 volumes. For anyone who is interested, they are available on qimpro.com website. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that a recording of this webinar will be shared on our website and on LinkedIn, so please follow Qimpro's page. We hope you enjoy the next 30 minutes. I request Mr. Lulla to take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya, for your kind words and warm introduction. Good afternoon, friends. We are back to performance excellence, and this is going to be the second part. Anchoring the session is Maya Desai. Maya Desai is accountable for the IMC Ramkrishna Bajaj National Quality Award competition process. She ensures that we get the right number of applications and that the assessment process is effective. So this being the second part of our Turbocharging for Performance Excellence, it would be appropriate that I do a little bit of flashback of the first session. So what you're going to see is a bit of the first session repeated, and then the evolution of the story. As in previous sessions, I start with quality fables. And a fable, as you know, is substantially facts, but partly fiction also. The fable that follows demonstrates that the top management, the leadership, must have a compelling, doable vision. And for the transformation, you need a structured methodology. And 3, you need to customize this methodology to suit the organization culture. Very important point. So the fable is systematic transformation, efficient and effective, part 2. 2 decades ago, a young prince inherited an empire, a business empire. He was just 26 and back from the London School of Economics. His group companies were cement, carbon black, filament yarn, aluminum, and copper. These businesses were set up by his father during the license Raj. And in the license Raj, there was a rationing of capacity for every business. Consequently, the father established multiple companies for each commodity, scattered across the country, and each having its own culture, plus branding. The young prince dreamed of transforming all these businesses. He was now in the post-liberalization era. He wanted each business to become a Kohinoor, which meant that for each commodity, the multiple brands, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 6 and more, had to be all standardized into one brand. For example, brand A. It was at this time that I was introduced to the prince. And the prince spoke eloquently about economics and the importance of the customer. This was music to my ears. He was talking about customer-driven quality. The framework of governance that he had established, or his father had established and he was carrying forward, is that turbocharge performance excellence commodity by commodity. That was the group mission. The vision was world-class quality in 1,000 days, commodity by commodity. The group policy was customer first, always. And the values were integrity, keeping your promises to customers, and maturity, an ability to define problems in a depersonalized way. So we had discussions because you can't eat an elephant in one bite, you've got to eat it in bite by bite. So we did a Pareto on the commodity businesses and tried to prioritize that business which would lend itself to transformation fastest. Cement was top of the list. We chose to adopt a structured model called the International Quality Maturity Model, IQMN. What appealed to the prince was that leadership and strategic planning were the foundation for this transformation, and that customer and market focus were the hub for the transformation. There were other elements also which related to processes, to knowledge, to cost of poor quality, human resources, improvement and innovation, audit, all leading to business results. The results would come in the guise of level of maturity on an IQMM scale. So there was level 1 to level 10. If you look closely at this diagram, the x-axis shows you the levels and the y-axis shows you the degree of conformance. A 20% degree of conformance to the IQMM quality requirements can at best have you at level 3. And if you go further, with a 70% conformance, you may be at level 8. At that stage, you could be ready to apply for any performance excellence award, such as the Malcolm Baldrige, or the Deming application price. The Malcolm Baldrige has been adapted in India by the IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award. He set goals that in 200 days, all his cement units should be at level 4. In 500 days, they should be at level 5. And in 1,000 days, at level 7. When they were ready at level 7, they participated in performance excellence competitions. With the success in cement business, he wanted to clone the solution to the other businesses, but he had a concern. Can you customize IQMM for my group? Can you simplify the IQMM for my group? And can you demystify IQMM for my group? I said yes, provided you participate in the customization, simplification, and demystification. So it started with, how do we make excellence happen? We need a foundation, we both agreed. We need an infrastructure, we both agreed. We need processes that need to be managed, we both agreed. All that can deliver results. The prince was anxious to leave very noticeable footprints of his presence. So his first requirement was results. I want to see the top line improving in every organization. To which my response was that that can happen only when you have delighted customers. He agreed. But I did put in a spoke that to delight customers, we need to empower our employees. So he said, how do you do that? We put them in a state of self-control. He wanted higher revenues. Certainly, we had to manage our processes so that customers voted for us with their money. But my spoke there was, efficiency precedes effectiveness. We need to make our processes free from chronic waste and lower the cost of operations. That was the kind of charter we signed. So what was next? Next was, how do we get there? The first step was that the traditional method of management, where you have functions in silos, needs to be revisited. We need to also look at the processes that cross these silos, the functions, cross-functional processes, and identify those that would delight our customers. So we mapped those processes and said to manage them, you need first to do some quality control. You need to plan for the customer's delight, and you need to continuously improve to remove the chronic waste. Agreed. But for all this to happen, you need an infrastructure. And the infrastructure, he said, I have an ISO 9000 system. Very good. That's a quality system. You need it. But you need to look at your processes end to end, from the supplier to you, to the customer. And at each interface, remember, there's a customer-supplier partnership. This partnership should benefit both the customer and supplier. We need to be more transparent with each other. We need to do joint costing, a win-win for both. Oh yes, we can only work with facts, data. And this data needs to be converted to information through tools. And our people need to apply this information to create knowledge. This knowledge is what I treasure, he said. I have people loyal with me for 20 years and more. The knowledge resident in these people is unimaginable. Oh, we can't put excellence in a department. A total organization needs to get involved. How do you get a total organization involved? Quite simple, I said. Revisit your HR practices. Revisit your job descriptions. Do they include any part of excellence? Do the measurement of performance based on performance and excellence. Have promotion policies that also tie in with excellence. Educate and train. Yes, this whole concept of moving from vertical functions to horizontal processes will call for education and training. So he said, what is the difference? To which my response was, education prepares you for your tomorrow's responsibilities. Training prepares you to do work better today. In today's parlance, we call it skills training. And finally, he said, I need to leapfrog. And to leapfrog, I need innovative thinking. Yes, we do need logical left brain thinking, but we need to bring a culture of creative thinking, right brain. Agreed. So we come to the foundation now. The first is strategic quality planning. Traditional planning, strategic planning includes marketing, finance, technology, HR. Where's quality? Customer-driven quality. Integrate strategic quality planning into your overall strategic plans. Executive leadership. Oh yes, we always talk about leadership. Yes, I insist, transformation starts from the top. You have to walk your talk. People listen to what you say, they believe what you do. And unless the leadership is walking its talk on transformation by being an integral part of the transformation process, nothing will happen. You will remain a level 2 and level 3 organization. And finally, customer focus. We both agreed very heartily on that. We also agreed that customer defines quality. Customer is the final inspector. And yes, customer pays our salaries. That was the demystification of the IQM. And today, it's packaged by that organization as performance excellence. So what are the lessons we've learned? You need to follow a structured method for transformation. Start small. Focus on a test site, as did the prince. He looked at cement first and then moved on to carbon black and filament yarn and so on. You need to customize the structured methodology for scaling up because culture is important. What is culture? The habits of people, what they believe in. And with plants all over the country, he had multiple cultures. The foundation for performance excellence, by now you must remember, is leadership, strategic planning, and customer focus. In conclusion, the most decisive factor for quality leadership is the rate of quality improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Lulla, for that wonderful session. I mean, really, truly making simple a concept of, looking at your organization holistically and focusing on excellence as a journey and improving your processes and systems. That was really wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have all taken the poll now. It's there, Flash. Do you know your own best practices? So you have a choice now after going through the entire session with our guru, I would say, quality guru, Mr. Lulla. You can adopt the IQMM to bring in your systems and processes and really improve your organization and take it forward in the global journey. And also look at because I am with the IMC and QA under Lulla sir's guidance, we can also, you as an organization, look at participating in the IMC Ramakrishna Bajaj Quality Awards. So now we are open for questions. Yes. Please click the Q&A icon, not the chat icon, to type your questions. We have some few interesting questions already online. So there is a question coming up saying, we have heard of employee empowerment as a process. In your model, you showed empowered employees as a result. Could you please clarify the same, sir?
Yes, empowered employees is a noun, and we're talking of a verb.
Okay.
How do you make it happen?
Yeah. Okay.
An employee is empowered when they know the objective of their work, when they have the means to measure their performance,
Okay.
and they have the means to take corrective actions when there's a variation, without an inspector coming and telling you to do that. Now, don't empower employees in haste, because the prerequisite is a capable process.
Okay.
Is the process capable? If it is capable, then empower employees. And what's the prerequisite to process capability? Understanding customer needs. It all ties in. Customer delight, process management, and self-control being a very mature way of management more than inspection. Please don't mistake it for inspection.
Okay, sir. Thank you. There's one interesting question from Sushil Ahuja. A lot of documentation is required to implement the quality systems and IQMM. Does that limit flexibility, sir?
The IQMM doesn't demand any formal documentation.
Okay.
It looks more at what are the habits in an organization.
Mm-hmm.
When it is a habit, you don't need to document it.
Okay.
So documentation can get you lost in data. But what we're looking at is what is the knowledge resident in the organization on excellence, harvesting that as a best practice and using it for turbocharging performance excellence.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers your question, Sushil. There's another one from Mr. Raghavendra BS on how to implement and educate the system for MSMEs with less management strength and only skilled workers.
Maya, could you repeat that question, please?
How to implement and educate this system for MSMEs, sir, with less management strength? I mean, they have few number of people with them.
NEBH.
Oh, yeah, MSMEs, yeah.
In a hospital environment.
No sector specified, only the medium scale organizations who have less management strength and they want, limited skilled workers with them to implement this. So how do they manage?
Well, then as the journey...
sorry, sir, he's replied saying it's manufacturing sector if you specify.
Oh, manufacturing sector.
Yes, yeah.
You have to hold hands and move very much like a snail from level 1 to level 2 and so on.
Okay.
So there are some basic things that need to fall in place and a high degree of facilitation, but none of the requirements are impossible. What is required is a determined effort from the top management and to be seen to be actually participating in conducting the training and education.
Okay.
So once the leadership is convinced and familiar with the model, then they have their means to, in a bilingual way, demystified way, in a more contextual way, explain each requirement.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Raghavendra. There's another one, sir, which is very interesting. Until now, I always thought that quality costs more. The reverse being the case, why is quality a delegated responsibility?
Quality costing more is a joke.
Okay.
You improve the quality of your processes, make them more reliable. You'll cut out the waste and the reworks that are being done in every process. And that doesn't apply only to manufacturing. In fact, manufacturing have become so hammered that they take all the blame for the quality costs that are being incurred. Look at the supplier quality, purchasing process. Look at the maintenance process, the downtime. Look at the billing process. Look at the recruitment process. You look all across the organization. Every process has wasteful activities. If you put a value, and you can use a cost accountant, my guess is that at least 1/3 of your total costs are committed to wasteful work. Getting rid of, making your processes more efficient, obviously reduces costs. On the other hand, if you're talking of features of your product, adding more features, you are right. Every feature has an associated cost. But that is so minuscule compared to the wasted costs that you are doing in the name of quality. Why do you need an inspector? Why do you have inventory, work in progress inventory, incoming inventory, finished goods inventory? Because my processes are incapable.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, there's another question from Manjula Mani asking to impart some guidelines on enhancing creative thinking amongst employees.
How to impart?
Yes, enhancing the creative thinking.
Yes, the creative part is dormant in most of us.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 99.9%, the creative part is dormant. It exists, but in a dormant way.
Mm-hmm.
I give this example repeatedly that when a child is born, it has a left brain, right brain.
Mm-hmm.
Which part of the brain does it use? The right creative side. It's our schooling that unfortunately rewards and recognizes only left brain activity, and we stop using our right brain.
Mm-hmm.
And those with effective right brains in school are considered duffers. So now you are in a situation where improvement, which was the left brain activity, continual incrementally improvement, you want breakthrough innovations, which means disruptive thinking. And disruptive thinking has to come from the right brain. So as you have quality tools for your left brain,
Mm-hmm.
you have creativity tools to trigger your right brain. uh, Essentially, they're based on brainstorming, ideation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the traditional method of brainstorming has very limited outputs. But have you ever thought that you have silent members in your team that are brainstorming? But the silent members may be having some good ideas.
True. Mm-hmm.
And we tend to flow with the ideas of one person and another. So can you consider brain writing as a tool?
Okay.
Can you consider imaginary brainstorming to say, how would monkeys solve the problem, and then learn from the monkeys?
Mm-hmm.
And so on. There are several tools, but they're all based on the foundation of brainstorming. Does that answer the question to Manjula Mani?
Hope I'll just see your response and I'll keep you informed, sir. We'll just move on to the next question from Mr. Acharya. How do we effectively measure performance excellence to improve based on organizational culture and habits towards maturity?
That's a very
all-encompassing question.
You want a separate webinar for that? That's a very big one.
Yeah.
But
okay.
How do you measure? The final measure is employee delight.
Okay.
Employee delight will guarantee you customer delight. Now, an excellent organization works with good values. And it's important that, governance have a place. And you look at housekeeping to create the environment for delighted employees. You'll address safety issues for employees and so on. And you build an environment which ensures that they will go the last mile to work with a customer. Okay. Customer loyalty. Okay. So excellence doesn't happen by chance. It's a determined action, and you have to take it all together. In the demystified model, which one showed, results. Okay. Results had delighted customers, delighted employees, higher revenues and lower cost. And if you've got that much in place, you're definitely on track. Okay. Excellence today has got an expanded definition because your customer definition has also got expanded. It's not just the paying customer. A customer could be society. What are you doing for society and what are the processes that you follow? Do you have the same rigor of a PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act, with respect to your social responsibility as an organization?
Okay.
And knocking on the door is Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a customer. You fool around. She's very patient right now. You fool around, Mother Earth will engulf you.
Okay.
So there may be no business for you thereafter. So one has to expand one's definition of performance excellence also and see it happening not only for quality, but safety, environment, governance, and so on.
Okay. I hope that answers your query, Mr. Acharya. You can write to Qimpro in detail for further explanations. We just move on to one more question from Mr. Ahmed. He has thanked you for this excellent macro level model as base. The challenges I'm currently facing is to let my quality department not as one functional department, but a company-wide responsibility. What first 5 steps I have to take if I have to understand it as a 360 cultural change, but need your short, concise answer to start on it. Should I repeat the question, sir?
I am lost.
Basically, he wants to know how to make that cultural change in the organization to accept these improvement.
How to make the culture change.
Yes. Yeah.
Change your CEO.
Okay.
The culture of the CEO percolates down. Don't try and carry people when you believe in something different. People are not stupid. They see what the CEO, the leader values, where the CEO is spending time, and that creates the culture. Don't spend tons of money on culture exercises. They figure out what does your CEO do, and it'll happen. And if it's not happening, my recommendation is change your job and go to one where the CEO does imbibe these values.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question? What is the difference between operational planning and strategic planning?
In strategic planning, you schedule your priorities emanating from the vision. In operational planning, you prioritize your schedule monthly, quarterly, annually. So it's schedule your priorities or prioritize your schedule.
Now I think it's time to close the session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is all we have time for today. The next webinar is Customer First, which will be hosted on 23rd May at 12 p.m. IST. If there are any specific topics you would like Mr. Lulla to cover in the quality, innovation, performance excellence or benchmarking space, please email your suggestions to connect@qimpro.com. Please ensure that Qimpro is spelled correctly. There is no U after Q. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for attending the webinar.